listen to what Surinder just said, and I think essentially one of the important questions that comes out from all this, and I think it relates to every aspect of Punjab, and this is the discourse you said, which is never formulated but is implicit in everything. It is a question of Jat power in Punjab. And I think it is the elephant in the room. You cannot do anything about it till you discuss this question and see the impact of what it has on politics in Punjab. I mean, if I look around today, I came to Punjab, I've grown up outside Punjab, I've coming back to Punjab to my village. But I came here as a reporter with the Indian Express in '98. And I was talking to some people just before we started talking here. And I think that was in '98. 14 years later, the cast of characters in Punjab politics has not changed. If you look at the people around us, Badal, Amrinder Singh, even if you throw in Mantri, Jats, all Jats. The question of class, which we often mistake when we talk only of caste, that is important here. They also belong to the elite class among the Jats. Yes. Somebody gave me a figure that 2/3 of the candidates standing for this election are declared assets worth more than 1 crore. I may be wrong, but I mean that's not implausible in Punjab. That's the kind of level at which we are talking of class and caste intersecting in this place. There is one difference from the '98 election, from the time of '98, and what unfolded over the next 1 or 2 years. And I just want to go back to that because I remember we had a discussion once. Yeah. And even for somebody like you, who knows Punjab well, you were ignorant of what had happened at that period of time. And this is one of our problems. Punjab does not look at recent history or past history very well. We don't process it. There was a man named Gurcharan Toda who's missing from the scene. Yes. And what is important about Gurcharan Toda? I have no admiration for Gurcharan Toda's politics. I used to criticize him a lot. But Gurcharan Toda represented a stream of politics which has disappeared from Jat politics. What is it? The question of class. He represented a different class of Jat politics which has existed from the inception of the Akali Party to '98, but today is totally absent. And I just want to go back and connect it with something important in Punjab politics. If you look at modern Sikhism, its genesis is the Singh Sabha movement. And the Singh Sabha movement itself had this distinction inbuilt into it. You had the Lahore Singh Sabha and you had the Amritsar Singh Sabha. The Amritsar Singh Sabha was the landed, the class. The Lahore Singh Sabha came out of a far more egalitarian impulse. The Akali Party was born out of the Lahore Singh Sabha movement. And these people were Jats. They consolidated Jat power, however you may look at it. But there was even within the Jats a schism. There was a battle of classes in the Jats, of a landed, well-to-do Jat power and a more egalitarian approach, which actually drew its strength from Sikhism itself as an inspiration for this egalitarian approach. This was what the Akali Party was. And when you come to electoral politics, 1937, you actually see it being played out. The landed elite in Punjab is represented by the Unionist Party. And who is supporting the Unionist Party? It's the Chief Khalsa Diwan, which is again the upper class of the Jats who is supporting it. The Akalis stand in opposition. True. And actually, if you look at Sikh politics ever since then, there is this confusion that the Congress and Akalis are closely tied. But for the first 10 or 15 years, from 37 onwards till immediately after partition, Congress and Akali politics are almost the same thing. They are actually working hand in hand. And many of the important Akali figures actually come out of this movement. I mean, which is why you have some important congressmen actually starting off as Akalis. What I'm claiming is, and this is a process that goes on till, forgets the right and wrong of the years of terrorism. If you look at terrorism closely just as a phenomenon, you see this divide again. Much of the actual violence that is carried out in the years of terrorism is again carried out by the Jats who belong to the class which is not landed or has not gained from the Indian state in the same way. And I mean, a lot of us oppose it. We are, of course, I come from a class of Jats which has gained from the Indian state. My sympathies are with the idea of Indian nationhood, and for various intellectual reasons as well. But the fact is that this dichotomy exists within the Jats. There is no manifestation of this egalitarian process within Jats today. What happens with Toda is this figure of Jat egalitarianism disappears. Also, something important happens at the time of Toda which we don't notice. Today, I find that in Punjab politics, the question which dominated for 2 or 3 years has disappeared. And that question is the question of where does the Akal Takht stand? What is happening with Sikh institutions? The intervention of Sikh institutions in Punjab politics disappears. In some ways, today what we are seeing in Punjab is the absolute victory of the unionist party model. That is, in terms of actually usurping the structure of Punjab, the Jat power, the upper class of the Jats has captured that power. And there is no dissenting voice even among the Jats to challenge that, leave alone anything from outside or more subaltern that will question that dissent.
Right.
Okay. And I think I am a journalist. I will go for these sweeping statements of history, but I'll stick close to sort of pragmatic discourse rather than sort of broad idea. I think 2-3 things are tied into it. The fact is, if you look at Punjab, the numbers are such that the Jats will dominate any democratic process. Even more than Haryana, there's a difference. What happens is that in Punjab, there's a 60-40 divide among the Sikhs and Hindus, which almost ensures that you will have a Sikh chief minister. So the fact is the Jats really don't have to be a majority in the entire population. In Haryana, you can have an anti-Jat consolidation. All you need is a majority among the Sikhs. And the Jats have that majority among the Sikhs, which means that that gives the Jats more control over the politics of Punjab than it gives them anywhere else in the country, even if their numbers may exceed that particular problem. So, if you look at the Jats, first of all, they control politics. They have the numbers to control this politics. The egalitarian impulse has disappeared. The use of religion, which is actually a moderating factor to the landed elite carrying out its politics, that has also disappeared. And one of the main reasons in that, I also think, is the prosperity to a certain class that comes with the Green Revolution and the increasing expenditure in elections. In 2002, when I covered the elections, I tried to carry out an estimate of what kind of money goes into the elections. My estimate then was, and I think in 10 years this must have grown considerably, is that a good, reasonable candidate who has a good chance of victory needs to spend 70 lakhs alone on distribution of liquor. That was 10 years ago. Today, I'd say it would have doubled, maybe trebled. This is for the assembly elections. The party does not have that kind of funding. We don't have a system for that kind of funding. If you're going to pick and choose candidates to fight that kind of election, where are you going to look for? You have to pick the landed elite, that is the class. When they come into power, that is the interest that is served when that happens. It also means that it explains a large degree of the kind of policies this government or the next government will frame. I mean, do not look for great distinctions between the kind of policies an Amrinder Singh will frame as opposed to a Prakash Singh Badal, because inherently they are representing the same kind of ideas or the same kind of class in terms of the politics they pursue. You will get a lot of advantages for farmers who own land and gain from the ownership of land. Farmers who own more than, say, 5, 6, 7 acres of land. The kind of policies that will benefit, say, the marginal Jat, who is still the majority of the Jats if you look at the percentages or numbers and look at the holdings, are actually policies that are in common with the policies that will benefit the Dalits. For example, simple questions like investment in public education, public health. these are issues that go directly to this. But precisely because this class has now been isolated from political power, these are exactly the kind of policies you do not expect to see implemented in Punjab. And you see that happen over and over again over the last 12, 15 years. Which is why when you talk about questions about federalism, fiscal decentralization, are you sure is that what you want? I think one of the good things about Punjab is that it is tied to the Indian Union. You think of separating Punjab out from the Indian Union, and then you will understand what Jatpar actually means.
Sure, sure.
You know, I mean, the fiscal decentralization will mean the ruin of the state. You will be bankrupt within 2 governments. I mean, there is no way the state has a viable polity unless there are larger ideas from outside Punjab which feed into the state.
Sure,
this state today has become bereft of the possibility of establishing ideas.
Exactly.
I mean, right at the beginning of the idea of democracy, when you go back to the American Constitution when it was established, I think Madison wrote something about the dangers of a faction. He said that a group, minority or majority, if it becomes large enough in its combined interest to hold power and go against the interests of the larger community, that is what he defined as a faction. In Punjab, you have a Jat faction whose interests today are actually in distinction to the larger interests of the Punjabi community. And it has the means and power to actually continue these kind of policies. If you ask me, is there an easy way out? I don't see easy ways out. And these are ways can be. Can that happen? I'm not sure it can happen. So, I mean, I'm giving a very pessimistic forecast for the future of Punjab politics, but that is the way I see what the situation of Punjab today is.
Right. Since you're talking about pessimism, I'll quote Antonio Gramsci. It's the pessimism of the intellect and the optimism of the will which drives us.